my cat, Pineapple. Rather conspicuously, the camera is pointing at the front of the vehicle. That's because I will be starting on the front of the vehicle today. There's three reasons why I'll be doing that. The first reason is this MCV splitter. I have 3D scanned it, hence why it's covered in grey dust, and the 3D model is just about ready to start 3D printing, so I'll need to test fit it to the bumper to make sure that I've got all the dimensions correct before I send it off to be made in carbon fibre. So that's part one. Then part two is in this box, so I might as well open it. Now, this box is from New Model Wreckers over in Sydney, Australia. They're not a sponsor of the show, they're just really good guys, so happy to give them a shout out if you're looking for spare parts for any of your cars. Doesn't just have to be silly cars. Give them a buzz and they will do their best to help you. That is a headlight which has been supplied to me. It's a bit damaged after being involved in a collision, but for what I need it for, it's perfect. One of the common issues with these cars is that they've got a plastic headlight lens, and the lenses go really bad in the sun. And since I've got a 3D scanner, my plan is to disassemble this headlight, remove the lens, scan it, and see if I can get replacements manufactured, because I've gone through the process of cleaning mine and sanding them back. I had to do inside and outside. It was a huge ordeal, and a lot of people don't want to go through that, and I don't want to go through it again. So what I'll be doing is just trying to get some new lenses made. So that's what this is for. This will be getting pulled apart. So that's one of the items at the front. And to get that headlight out, you know, part of this video is going to be how to get the bumper off, how to get the headlight out, and then there is the third thing that I have to fix, which is the radiator. The radiator is the reason the car is so dusty. I've busted my second radiator, so I need to pull it out, but this time I will be getting a custom radiator made so that it's a little bit more resilient. This is going to be a really difficult shoot, isn't it, Pineapple? You want all my attention today. You have a basket just over there. No, you want to sit there. Okay. Back to the show. If we have a look under here, I've already removed the plastic guard. You can see here where the low part of the car has a tendency to hit the ground. This is a common issue with these cars, so it's something I'll be rectifying when I pull everything apart today. But what you can see here is what the problem is. These cars, as cool as they are kind of a kit car, and you can see here that the radiator shroud is actually some bits of plastic that are glued together, and you'll find that this is a really common arrangement on a lot of Ferraris and Maseratis from this period, where they are actually bits of Alfa Romeos that have been cut up and glued together to make fit into a different vehicle. This one, no different. So what the problem is if we come back here and have a look at a slightly shallower angle, you can see that the radiator is actually quite a bit lower than the front bumper. And in my case, the radiator end tanks here, which are plastic with the radiator core here. On the other side, I have had a minor impact, which you can see there, and you can see that it has damaged the plastic end tank there. So the plan is to get a whole new radiator made from aluminium. And despite shuffling across the ground, the cat still just wants to sit on my lap. I need to get the front bumper off, and from memory to do that I have to pull the headlights out. The only thing that I really remember about this process is that it really sucked. So I guess you get to watch me try and figure it out and remember how it all comes apart. So enjoy my struggle. The first thing I remember, and this is pretty much everything you have to do with this car, if you want to do anything, you got to jack up the car and take off the wheels. So let's get started there. With the wheels out of the way, the next thing to do is to remove the liners inside the wheel well. For those of you with an ounce of sympathy, spare a thought for the guy who does the editing on this, Neil. He's a top bloke, but I'm filming with two cameras that have different resolutions, different color quality, and now I have the harsh afternoon sun beaming directly into my garage, and he's going to try and make this absolute nightmare fuel of an edit into something watchable for all of you. So spare a thought for him while we're doing this.
I see. Well, thoughts and prayers, obviously.
The liner is held in with a bunch of metric fasteners and some screws. It's quite a bizarre little thing. If you need to replace your headlight globes, you'll find them just in here behind the flap, but it's almost always easier to just pull the thing out. So in my case, that's what I'll be doing, and they often get quite damaged. You can see that this one's pulled through a little bit, so I'll be trying to fix up some of that as I go along. And you can see here my custom brake discs, which are holding up really well after a few track days, and these are available on the store below.
Faster.
Wasn't too bad.
This is it. You're gonna burn. You can only run so long, and you can only right some wrong. Yeah, forgiveness is a virtue, but they all wanna hurt you.
What you can see at the front there is the air filter. Notoriously a nightmare to change the air filter. I haven't actually done it on mine yet, so I'll probably give it a go while I'm pulling apart the whole front bumper, but that's where it is. So the next step to getting this bumper out is to remove the fog lights so that I can remove the headlights, because there's a few bolts in that headlight area holding the bumper in place. And to do that, if we have a look under here, you can see just up there a 10mm bolt, and there's a matching one on the other side. So I'll pull that out and then pull out the fog lights. Getting the headlights out isn't so bad, but getting them back in is a nightmare. The reason it's so bad getting these back in is that the guides you'll find online show you the wrong way to reassemble them. Most of the guides have you pulling the headlight out through the front and therefore installing the headlight through the front. The problem with this arrangement is it becomes incredibly easy to scratch, scuff, or otherwise mark your front bumper, and the headlight, like a lot of weird things on this car, really doesn't come out the way that it goes in. There's kind of one way to disassemble things and one way to assemble things. So I'll be showing you how to pull the headlight out from the back. There are 3 bolts holding it in. The first one is under here and is very difficult to see. It's more of a by feel type deal. So I'll try and get it on camera for us. You just see it under there. It's easy enough to do by feel. It's not covered or anything, but awkward to see. And then the next one, if we go around here, quite clearly there on the back of the headlight. And there's another one, which is just visible there, which you access from the top. Very easy to see on the engine bay side. But we're going to do a couple of things different. First, we're going to fully remove this piece. If we come down underneath it, there is a little Allen bolt, so we're going to fully remove that. And then if we have a look over there, where there's the bolt, we're going to undo the 2 bolts at the top, not just the gold one on the left. And that will allow us to pull the headlight backwards and install it from the opposite side.
Can't hide your guilty conscience. Somebody knows what you did. So smile and act like you're okay, but you're running out of friends in this place, and you can't hide your guilty conscience. Can't hide your guilty conscience.
With the headlight disconnected, or unscrewed I should say, it comes out pretty quickly.
You're thinking this is it, you're gonna burn through this. 'Cause you can only run so long, and you can only right some wrong. Yeah, forgiveness is a virtue, but they all wanna hurt you.
As usual, this car has made a liar out of me because there is more equipment on this side of the engine bay than there is on the other side. So I'm going to have to battle with it for a little bit to get it past. On the other side, you can get it out backward nice and easy. They do both come out through the front. This one will only come out and go in through the front.
You wish you could take it all back now. Can't sleep without dreaming you're found out. You thought you covered your tracks, you swore you buried your racks, but you can never relax. You don't know what's around the corner.
Look how easy that was. There was no effort involved in that at all. And it's much harder going back in. So you can see the issue when you look at it from this side, why it's so hard to get in and out. But this is going to prevent me from getting the headlight in through the back, which is something that I can actually do on the other side. I don't know how easy this is to move, but it does look like it might only be held on via 2 bolts. So definitely a problem I'll try and get past when I do it around the other way, because as you can see from the struggle, it's very easy to damage this area, which is not what you want. Whereas on this side, once this is out of the way and this is out of the way, you can see it's loose, it just slides straight back and you don't risk damaging anything. Much easier on this side. I don't think it's too difficult from memory to do the rest of it. There's a few screws here, a few screws around the top, and then there's a few around the side, and the whole thing should come off, but we'll find out shortly. When I'm doing these, there's a bunch of shims underneath the bumper used to set the clearance between the hood and the fenders, so try not to lose them all. Not something you want to lose or damage, but I do make a replacement part for this, which is a 3D pint in case it does go missing. Best off using your fingers to do this so you don't scratch your bumper. You'll be able to pull that out and unclip the whole piece and let that slide back in. And just keep working my way around, finding more and more little nuts. Another funky little clip. made a mistake before. You don't actually need to remove the headlight washer cover and clip. You need to remove the whole piece, which is back here. There's a clip here, and I vaguely remember it from my first attempt as having a tendency to fly away. And definitely not something you want to lose, because that's not going to be something you'll be able to find anywhere. But with that out, just unplug the water, let it drain all over the floor, and then the whole piece will come away. Mistake 912,000. You only need to undo this hose and this clip here holding it together to be able to get the bumper off. You don't need to undo any of the other washer items. Well, I've run out of light for filming, so I'm going to come back to it tomorrow. But now I've shown you how to get the headlights out and the front bumper off, which means I can show you how to take off the front splitter for my upcoming video on replacing it with the MCB splitter. I also have better access to the AC condenser and the radiator. You don't actually need to take this off to do the radiator, but I'm doing more than one thing, so I'm just giving myself as much space as possible. I guess I'll start filming again soon.
And that night, Hayden dreamed the happy dreams of a man who did not own a Maserati. But as with all dreams, the morning brought back the terrifying reality.
Well, now the next day, the wind is up, it's storming, so now the audio quality is going to fall off because I still don't have a lapel mic. But that's a you problem if you're trying to use this to help you. I'm just doing this for fun, and it takes 10 times longer to film it all, so I hope this is good enough to help some people. Now I have to figure out how to get the radiator out, and still trying to figure that out. Had a bit of a look around. There's more than a few bolts running through from the front. I don't think I can drop the assembly through the top. The intake actually overhangs the radiator as well as a lot of the piping for dry sump. So yesterday you watched me try to figure it out, even though I didn't know what I was doing. And today you get to watch me try and figure it out, even though I don't know what I'm doing. Let's start by taking the shroud out of the way. I'm not 100% convinced I need to remove the shroud, but it does look like I need to. It looks like it's bolted to the radiator or the AC condenser, but honestly, I just can't tell. So after getting a bit closer to it, it looks like I kind of just need to take off what's accessible so I can move it around so that I can get access to stuff that's not accessible, which is pretty par for the course with this car. There are so many different types of fasteners, it's actually really important to keep them in some kind of category. For me, I'm just using magnetic trays and I'm sort of grouping them by bumper, radiator removal and so on. But if you're not keeping track of it, you'll be in trouble real quickly because they're all unique. And there's no way for you to be able to remember them, even if you're doing the whole job in one day. So there's a lot of equipment here. At the moment I'm doing the power steering cooler. Behind that is the AC condenser. And then the radiator. Alright, well so far what I've figured out is that I need to loosen the shroud, then loosen the radiator so that I can drop the radiator low enough to get to the top half of the shroud. So hopefully these are the last couple of bolts for this, which I'll need to undo from both sides. Well, you definitely need to get the shroud off to get the radiator out, but the shroud won't come out of this area because the only way to do that is to disconnect all the AC lines that are holding it in. So one step at a time. At least it's loose so I can move it around, but wow, what a pain. So, yeah.
One eternity later.
Well, that was not fun. So the takeaway from this video on how to remove the radiator is to not do it the way that I showed you in this video. Like a lot of things in this car, it makes sense once you know how to do it, but it doesn't make any sense while you're trying to figure it out at all. The radiator and the AC condenser are kind of built into a sub-assembly. They're also built into that sub-assembly with the power steering cooler. The idea is that you take off the fans from the back of the radiator, and then you take out the radiator, AC condenser, and power steering cooler all as one piece. If you do it like that, it'll work. If you do it the way that I did it, trying to pull it out in separate pieces, it becomes a bit of an ordeal because it all gets jammed and then you've got to try and get it back into place so that you can pull it apart. So when I go to install it, I will show you how to do it properly. But for the purposes of this video, you've been shown how to get the front bumper off and the headlights out. So I think to finish this off, I will show you how to separate the headlight lens, which means that if you're in a situation where you're trying to polish the inside of your headlight lenses, you'll be able to do it. So now I have to get up off the ground, away from this emotionally defeated state, and show you something else to wrap this video up. To remove the lens from the headlight, you really don't need a lot of tools. You'll need a knife and a couple of hooked awls, AWL. Some people call them pick. And all we're going to do is we're going to work our way around this edge with the sealant here and separate the headlight lens. So you'll need to do this if you have sunburn on the inside of the lens, not just on the outside. The only thing that you really got to be aware of is that the painted inserts have a tendency to flake off, so you may need to get them repainted. And when you do separate the lens, try not to touch the chrome inserts because the chrome is on very lightly on the plastic and it will separate. You can't separate these in an oven. This glue, this sealant that's used, it won't soften. So you have to mechanically separate them. It's more of a brute force than finesse type exercise, but to begin with, you just want to come along and separate the rubber from the lens so you can actually see the area you're working with. So you can see here, that's plastic. So the area that we want is in this gap here. Run the knife down through, just to give yourself some space. Get it all in there. Try and get behind the plastic. So you may just need to pull the awl through the plastic a bit to give you enough space to actually rotate it around. It may take a couple of goes. Also, be mindful which direction you're pulling this in so that you don't stab yourself. Pretty sure this one has been opened and resealed at some point, because I don't remember my original pieces having this much sealant on them. But yours may look like this. Once you get under the light lens, the goal is to work your awl around the lip and try and pull it up. So, focusing on this edge here, the idea is to get enough of a gap to get our fingers in and just pull the lens out. So what you're doing is with a hook, you've got to imagine you're coming in underneath the plastic lip here. You're going to try and get it around and inside here so that you can pull along and get separation on this side. I might have to name this episode Do As I Say, Not As I Do, because nothing went to plan here, but hey, that's what you get when it's amateur YouTube and you're just some regular guy working on your car, and if you're working on your car, it's more likely to go like this where everything goes wrong than it is to go like those polished guides that you see on YouTube. I managed to get that headlight lens out of that headlight assembly. I wasn't very careful with it because I'm just scanning this and I don't need the rest of it. Obviously, if you're going to be replacing your headlight lens, you'd be putting a lot more effort into pulling it all out neatly, which I've done 4 times now. They can definitely be pulled out without damaging anything, but at some point you get sick of it, and particularly in this case, I've never seen one with so much glue all over it. This one was really hard to pull out. Before, they've been really easy. I've just been able to separate the glue up around the top, get my hands in it and pull it off. But this one was something else. But of course, it only goes wrong while I'm trying to film it to help people show them how to pull their lenses apart. But isn't that the way it goes? Anyway, I've got it out. I've got my radiator out. I've got my air conditioning out. So time to work on getting a new radiator. And while I've got it all apart, I'm going to be going through all this with a fair bit of effort and cleaning it up. I'll be taking the valve covers off to do the valve cover gaskets. I'll be taking the inlet manifold off so it can be repainted because it's flaking. And probably more than a few other things in the end of the day while I'm at it, plus a couple of surprises. Anyway, till the next one.